What's good, you guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Puncher's Point. Y'all know what time it is. It's prediction time. We got Alycia Baumgardner versus Delfine Persoon, September 27th at Atlanta, Georgia, for the 130-pound WBC title. Now, I know a lot of y'all kind of was like on the fence about this fight. I know a lot of y'all was kind of like, because here's the thing: with women's boxing is kind of it's constantly continue to soar off, and even then, it tends to do better than men's boxing at times, which is a fact, not an opinion. Okay, so with that being said, obviously with the women's division, you have the obvious names: Katie Taylor, Mana Serrano, Alycia Baumgardner, Clarissa Shields. The list goes on. But now we've seen Clarissa Shields in her debut at heavyweight. Now we got Alycia Baumgardner take on Delfine Persoon for the 130-pound WBC title. Now, let's get straight into it. Um, Delfine Persoon. Just gonna jump straight into it. I know the most infamous fight with Delfine Persoon is the fight she had with Katie Taylor, which some y'all feel that she was robbed. Some y'all feel like that she wasn't robbed. That's a topic for a different conversation for a different podcast episode. Here's the thing though, right? And I couldn't really gauge too much now. Delfine Persoon does give me the feeling that she's a more so aggressive type. She's going to bring the fight to you. She's kind of like a stand in your face type fighter. And it kind of surprised me because, I'm so used to seeing that stand in the pocket type fighting mentality with Mexican fighters. I'm so used to seeing them ready to go in there, stand and bang and give it they all. But it's a different element now because you bring it to the women's boxing. And the fact about it is, some of those women can go in there and they can stand toe to toe, and especially for her being a German fighter too, it was shocking to me. Like I said, I'm so used to seeing it in Mexican fighters. I'm so used to seeing it in the Mexican style of fighting. So coming from her type of culture and whatnot, and bringing that kind of style of pressure, I think that alone can be very toughening in itself. The thing about Delfine Persoon, I feel like Delfine Persoon is that sometimes that overly aggressiveness can be your downfall too. What I mean by that, sometimes you can overly throw too many punches. Sometimes you can tend to leave yourself over. Not only that too, but you can tend to gas out. The more punches you throw, the more chances you are that you gas is out. So in this fight with Alycia Baumgardner, you're gonna have to try to utilize pressure with distance, with range, and also timing too. You don't want to go in there and you don't want to just try to pressurize Alycia Baumgardner because Alycia Baumgardner is a still technical type boxer. So you're going to have to go in there and you're going to have to play your cards right. Now, I know a lot of people feel like you got robbed against Katie Taylor. Now, in the fight is magnitude. And then, look, there's always something that could be learned from your fights. Whether she got robbed or not, there's still something she could be learned from it and whatnot. Distance, control, pressure, range, distance. Um, as far as punches and whatnot, I mean, I wouldn't say it's the most dangerous kind of pop, but I feel like she has enough pop to it could be somewhat respectable and whatnot. It's just with Delfine Persoon, it's all about you got to manage your gas tank. Like I said before, you don't want to get too caught up to where you leave yourself unattended. I see that out of a lot of fighters. This is not just with Delfine Persoon. This is also with men fighters too. The more you throw and whatnot, you sometimes subconsciously leave yourself open for a counter attack to the face, to the body, etc., etc. So Delfine Persoon is going to have to take a more so calmer, cautionary type route. Mix it up a little bit with some pressure. You don't want to be too basic, but you don't also want to be too predictable with Alycia Baumgardner. And that'll be my breakdown as far as Delfine Persoon.
Delphine Persoon, it's pretty interesting because both of these fighters are in the top 10 for women's boxing, pound for pound. Alycia Baumgardner, obviously, she's one of the main faces of women's boxing. A lot of guys, they like to watch her fight, but they also like to, again, what I'm saying? She is the it girl for boxing, put it that way. You know what I'm saying? You know, she is that it girl, basically. Let's put it that way. But overall, again, regardless of, you know, the appearance and how attractive she really is. she can scrap and bang with the rest of them, man. Like she can scrap, And we seen that with the Michaela Mayer fight. We seen that with the Terry Harper fight. The way she knocked her out, that was a good, clean knockout or TKO from Alycia Baumgardner. With Delfine Persoon, she had that very infamous fight with Katie Taylor. Two infamous fights with Katie Taylor. And the one thing I respect about Delfine Persoon is she kept coming forward. She kept pushing forward against Katie Taylor. What she did to Katie Taylor was every single time Katie Taylor would throw a punch, she would come forward and throw a flurry of punches. And Katie Taylor was forced to rely on her defense more than her offense. What I liked about Delfine Persoon is Delfine Persoon got a gas tank. That's what I like about her. And that's something that Alycia Baumgardner may struggle with. If Alycia Baumgardner goes into these later rounds with Delfine Persoon and she realizes Delfine Persoon is not slowing down, it's going to be a tough night, man. And I feel like with that type of pressure, if she just goes in there with that type of style and is like, I'm just gonna keep coming forward no matter what, and I'm gonna make sure Alycia Baumgardner feels these punches every single time I push forward, Alycia Baumgardner might have to respect her power. It might have to have a different way of fighting than she did with Sandy Ryan or with Michaela Meyer. Um, the other thing with Delphine Persoon is, again, she does have very, very respectable power. But what I like about Delphine Persoon is Delphi Pursuit has an aggression that not many women fighters have, and on top of that, she's got a chin. She's that type of fighter that doesn't have the best defense. She doesn't have slick defense at all. However, she has that type of chin to where, she can take those punches. We saw her took punches from Katie Taylor and keep coming forward. I mean, the famous quote, if y'all watch Rocky, it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Delphi Pursuit does that in the ring. She took a lot of hard hits, but the problem was Delphine Persoon just kept coming forward. She kept using her gas tank. She kept making it a very tough fight for Katie Taylor. And what I like about Delphine Persoon is she got some very good hooks and she also has good level changing as well. She has some good feints, and I think that's something that Alycia Baumgardner could struggle with. I think this is a real good test for Alycia Baumgardner to fight somebody like Delphine Persoon, who has been in boxing for a very, very long time, to fight somebody like Delphine Persoon, who has fought a world champion like Katie Taylor before. And Baumgardner's creating her own legacy, don't get me wrong, but this is a really good fight for her, especially after the whole Clarissa Shields, Vanessa Lepage Joannis, especially after that fight. This is a good fight for Alycia Baumgardner to get her name and, get eyes back on her in boxing. Now, as far as weaknesses with Delphine Persoon, I mentioned that her defense isn't slick. Her footwork is not that good at all. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. There's been many times where she kind of lifts her foot off of the mat, and as a boxer, you can't do that. You're always supposed to stay on your toes, and you're always supposed to, keep your feet on the mat. And there's times where she's kind of walking forward, and her footwork is just sloppy, man. However, again, she does come forward and she does basically hunt down her opponent, and that's how she ends up winning. So that to me would be a weakness. The head movement is not really there. The defense, she lacks it, but whatever she lacks with defense, she usually makes up with offense. So I would say the keys for Delphine Persoon is, look, you're not going to beat Alycia Baumgardner in a boxing fight, you know, and who knows if she can handle the power of Alycia Baumgardner in those Alycia bombs. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the key for her is, I'm going to say, screw it. Go forward. That's it. Go forward, put your foot on the gas for 10 rounds, and make sure that you let Alycia Baumgardner know that for 10 rounds, you're gonna feel this pressure. So you're either gonna have to take me out, or you're gonna have to knock me out, or I'm gonna keep on bringing this power to you every single step of the way. You got to make it the same fight that you made it against Katie Taylor. You got to make Alycia Baumgardner more defensive than offensive. And how do you do that? With constant, reliable pressure. Some people are going to say Michaela Meyer, she tried to do that, but it didn't work. Yes, because Michaela Meyer kept running into punches. But if Delphine Persoon can take those punches and move forward, it's going to be a dogfight. You know what I'm saying? This isn't going to be a fight where Delphine Persoon is going to have a pretty face after. No, you're going to take some cuts. You're going to take some, you know what I'm saying? You're going to take some hits. But you got to be prepared to take those hits, and you got to be prepared to keep on moving forward with somebody like Alycia Baumgardner. So that would be the key, is just keep on moving forward. Use as much defense as you can. Keep your guard up. Don't take any stupid shots. but keep moving forward and keep on pressuring Alycia Baumgardner to the point where she has to rely more on her defense than her offense. And if you can do that, she has a really good high punch output. If you can just continue out punching her in every single round, just lay more punches, I think Delfine Persoon can pull off a shocking upset against Alycia Baumgardner.
Now on to the breakdown of Alycia Baumgardner herself. Now, first of all, let's go ahead and just note the obvious, probably top finest female in boxer. I just had to go ahead and put that out there. If you like it, I don't care. If you don't like it, oh well. If you do like it, you know what's up. Probably one of the finest female boxers ever. Had to note that out there. Bingo. All right, now time for the breakdown, right? So about Alycia Baumgardner. All right, let's go ahead and just get straight down to the strengths, right? The girl has a nice speed to her punches. I'm not gonna lie. I see how quick she throws those punches and whatnot. And sometimes, that could be the difference maker in the fight. Is at the range of the speed of how punches are being thrown and how much you have the time to react. Not only that too, but Alycia Baumgardner has head movements. She has some nice, decent footwork. Not only that too, but Alycia Baumgardner, she mixes her punches up. She goes to the body. She can box you in the middle of the ring. She can box you on. She can box you on the ropes. She has a really nice counter punch where she backs up and she hits you with an uppercut and then she comes with a straight. I don't know if a lot of people realize that, but that's technically one of her best punches and whatnot. And the thing about it is too, is that Alycia Baumgardner has a pressure to her kind of style too. She has a way of putting pressure on you. Now it's not like a Delfine Persoon type pressure, but it's a pressure enough to where it's like she puts a accumulation of punches on you. And when she puts accumulations of punches on you and whatnot, usually, you know, you get backed up or, the fighter tends to curl up and whatnot. But I'll say this too, while that may stand there, like Mario touched on early, the gas tank. When we watched the Michaela Meyer fight, one thing I will say that I first noticed was that the gas tank. It seemed like the gas tank wasn't there. And it's like, yeah, it worked well because it's like she wasn't in there with somebody that had threatening power. She wasn't in there with somebody that had power to make her pay for that. And that's one thing I feel like she has to really capitalize and pick up on is the stamina in the gas tank. Another thing too, sometimes when she tried to back out, she could tend to get hit in those exchanges with trying to back up. That goes back to also being in the ring with somebody that does not have enough power. If you're in there with somebody that doesn't have enough power and whatnot, maybe it may seem so little or not flawed enough. It kind of goes back to with the Inoue situation, how he drops his hands, and until he got dropped, he started to pick up back on it. I feel like it's a case scenario with Alycia Baumgardner where like that that happens until you get in the ring with somebody who has enough power to make you pay or who has enough power to hurt you or drop you to make you realize that or like and sometimes it be simple small mistakes, but it's like when you do it for so long because you're in the ring with somebody that doesn't have that kind of power, it's a different kind of reaction. So I would say she does tend to sometimes get caught in the exchange when she tries to back up. She's more so of a hit not get hit type fighter, kind of similar to Devin Haney. And speaking of the Haney, I've seen her posted up on the gram at some point with Bill Haney. So I'm wondering if he's going to have a hand in this fight with training and coaching her. Obviously, I know our main coach is Tony Harrison and whatnot. That's the obvious and whatnot. But as far as strengths and weaknesses, like I said, the strength is the girl has really nice set combination. She can box. She can box you in the middle on the ropes. And she sometimes can box you on the back foot. Sometimes she can't get caught in exchange because of trying to back out in time before getting caught with those counter exchanges. But nevertheless, though, she does put her punches together, and I do believe that she has enough pressure to kind of overwhelm any fighter that she get in the ring with. That's my breakdown for Alycia Baumgardner.
I mean, she might be one of the best boxers out there as far as the women boxing
And finest.
and
Sorry.
finest. Yeah, no. No, she is. Don't get me wrong. I didn't mean no, like she not. Nah, she is for sure. However, As far as an actual boxer, I mean, she is one of the best women's boxer out there. And I feel like one of her strengths, I really like her overhand right. That's to me is probably my favorite punch by her. That overhand right is the punch that knocked out Terry Harper. It's the punch that has had a lot of success for Alycia Baumgardner. And that's the punch I think that Delfine Persoon is gonna have to look out for. The other thing about Alycia Baumgardner, what I find interesting and unique about her is when she has very good defense, but when she's moving her head and she's kind of like, and she's pushing forward and she's dodging punches. As she's dodging punches, she's also throwing straights. So she's not just dodging them and then after she's done dodging them, she throws a no, she's like throwing punches as she's slipping them. She's not waiting to slip a punch. She's throwing them as she's slipping them, and that could be a strength most of the times, and sometimes it could also be a weakness. If you throw the wrong punch at the wrong time, it could clip you. But I do like that from her because not many boxers, let alone women boxers, not a lot of boxers are doing that. A lot of them, we've seen it. They slip the punch and then they'll throw a punch after. She's throwing the punch as she's slipping it. So as she's making sure that she doesn't get clipped, she's also getting points. She's also racking up punches. The thing was with Michaela Mayer, she has a very good jab. And in the Michaela Mayer fight, she was using that jab very efficiently. And it was for Alycia Baumgardner, who is shorter and smaller than Michaela Mayer, she was doing a really good job with that jab. And I feel like that's also another punch that she could use on Delfine Persoon. I feel like Delphi Persoon is a very rugged fighter, rough around the edges. Alycia Baumgardner is a lot more polished and she relies more on her boxing. And that's why this is a very interesting matchup between the two. It could result either way. It could result in Delphi Persoon shocking everybody and getting a very good win over Alycia Baumgardner. And it can also result in Alycia Baumgardner knocking out another female fighter. So either way, it could go both ways. Now, the weaknesses with Alycia Baumgardner, as you mentioned, the gas tank. The gas tank is definitely a big weakness. What also I noticed about Alycia Baumgardner is I think for Alycia Baumgardner, one of her weaknesses is getting away from the game plan a little bit. Sometimes I feel like she wants to get into those brawls, and I don't like Alycia Baumgardner getting into those brawls. Even though she can hit, even though she can knock you out, I don't want to see that. I want to see Alycia Baumgardner outbox and break down her opponent. I don't want to see her get into those brawls because of ego or anything like that. And this is a big completely different mood than the Michaela Mayer fight. If you remember in the Michaela Mayer fight, they did not like each other. They had bad blood and they were going in there and they were going to do what they had to do. And they had a professional fight for the majority of the fight. However, towards the end, it seemed like they were kind of leaning more towards a brawl. Um, this fight, she's expressed how she has a lot of respect for Delphine Persoon, calling her a trailblazer in women's boxing. So I'm interested to see if she's going to stick with the game plan and outboxing her. I do like Alycia Baumgardner's counterpunching. Overall, she does a very good job again of power punching, using her feints, using level changes, everything like that. Alycia Baumgardner can beat you any way possible. And I just feel like in this fight, I would like to see her outbox Delphi Persoon. And so the keys for Alycia Baumgardner win this fight is outbox her, use your jab. Okay, make sure you use your uppercut, hit her with the overhand right when you can. Keep her at distance, keep her at bay so she's not continuously pressuring you. And last but not least, do not get into a brawl with Delphine Persoon. I'd rather see you outbox her than get into an all-out brawl. And that is the keys that I have for Alycia Baumgardner and Delphine Persoon. Now, unfortunately for you guys, this is the first. I can't find the betting odds for this fight. So, but we all know who the favorite's going to be. It's going to be Alycia Baumgardner. The only site I had, it didn't have her that big of a favorite, surprisingly. Um, but overall, I would like to think that if I had to take a guess, the favorite would probably be Alycia Baumgardner winning by KO. However, I'm not sure about that. So don't quote me. Don't quote me on that. You know what I'm saying? Do your own research for this one. Unfortunately, we would give you all the numbers, but for this one, it's very limited. But we can go straight into predictions. So Breezy, Alycia Baumgardner, Delphine Persoon, who you got winning and how?
Say Alycia Baumgardner by unanimous decision. I think that pressure is going to be it's going to be on her for a little bit, and I think she's going to adjust. But I think it's like they had moments in rounds where she fought Michaela Meyer, and it kind of looked like Michaela Meyer may have took control I think it's going to be a back and forth. Delphine Persoon is going to definitely have her moments. And I believe Alycia Baumgardner is going to have her moments. I think early on it's going to be Alycia Baumgardner trying to establish that distance and trying to, time those punches and trying to prevent from staying on those ropes and basically getting the logistics down and getting data on Persoon. So I think after that, I think Alycia Baumgardner is going to take it from there and cruise out with a unanimous decision. So give me Alycia Baumgardner by unanimous decision.
That Delphine Persoon has a chin, and I mean that. Alycia Baumgardner has gone about 5 fights without having a knockout. I think that's straight gains. I think she's gonna knock her out, and I think it's probably gonna happen. I'm leaning towards like round 6 or 7. I'm gonna go round 6. I'm gonna go Alycia Baumgardner, TKO round 6. I think after that Clarissa Shields fight, I think she has to prove something. And I think the only way she's going to be able to do it is to get Delphine Persoon out of there. And it's going to be hard, even though Delphine Persoon is kind of pushing age a little bit. She still has fought the very best like Katie Taylor. And if Alycia Baumgardner can knock out somebody like Delphine Persoon, I think that does a lot for her career. I think that bumps her up a lot in the pound for pound rankings. And I think that it definitely skyrockets Alycia Baumgardner's career to the next level. And I think she's going to do it with that overhand right. I think that overhand right is going to find a lot of success with somebody like Delphine Persoon who keeps coming forward. I think that Alycia Baumgardner is going to use her defense, counter punching, and quick footwork to basically break down Delphine Persoon. And I think Delphine Persoon is going to feel it a lot. And I think Alycia Baumgardner has more power than Katie Taylor as well. So I do believe that that power is going to translate. And I think come around the 6th, 7th round, I'm going to go 6th. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the 7th round. I think she's going to TKO her. So give me Alycia Baumgardner, TKO, 6th round. Now, with that being said, Breezy, wrap it up for us real quick, man.
I know what the deal is. Punches point, we live and we acting and we shining bright. No pun intended. And we're live Mondays, Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturday, all over the place because boxing is all over the place because boxing is a hot ass mess right now. So expect nothing more but us to be on top of it like white on rice. But without further ado, this is the Punches Point. Yours truly, Breezy and Mario. Make sure y'all stay on point with the Punches Point.